Let's get this video started. Hello, thank you for choosing or watching my tutorial video on the Rhen'Ho Flayer build. Haven't covered this build yet. A lot of people have been asking for it as usual, and I just wanted to talk about what the live server iteration of the Rhen'Ho Flayer build is. And then also what's happening currently on the PTR server. So I did 2 videos this week. One on the Rhen'Ho Flayer guide, which is this one right here, and then we also have a guide for when, not even necessarily a guide, but just gameplay of the actual greater rifts on how they work. So make sure you guys check out both videos. But anyways, Rhen'Ho Flayer, what is it? It's a weapon. It is a one-handed ceremonial dagger. Plague toads or plague of toads now seek out the enemies and can explode twice. What are plague toads? These little toads. Now normally they just go off in one direction. They're really not that smart, but when you actually combine it with the Rhen'Ho Flayer, not only does the monster or the toads hit the monster, it pierces through them and seeks out additional targets, or it has the chance to explode twice pretty much. It also generates a lot of pets or fetishes as well, so overall is one of the strongest weapons in game. Behind SMK, it's probably number 2. So we're going to be usually 9 times out of 10, you're going to be using it with the fetish sycophants because you want to generate fetishes. And it doesn't really matter what element you use. I mean, the addling toads doesn't work with Rhen'Ho toads, but it does work with either the exploding toads or addling. One's poison, one's fire. Now, you can go fire. The fire toads do a lot more damage, but I prefer poison because they provide a little bit of crowd control, and it really helps in the future greater rifts, and that's what I'm aspiring to do. The nice one with the poison one is that you can use swamp ladders. The one with the fire... You can use Mage Fist and Cinder Coat. So there's basically positives and negatives. Or some people, they like to go the physical build with the fetishes or for the Rhen'Ho Flayer. Because with the Rhen'Ho Flayer, it's really good at generating the fetishes from fetish sycophants, and those fetishes are physical, so you can go physical. Because those will all work together because, you know, you'll have the physical damage. Some people like to go poison because, like I said, the addling toads, and some people like to go fire because of the explosive toads. Depends on what you want to do. If you go towards the physical, then basically your toads are going to suffer a little bit because they're not going to be doing their elemental damage, but your fetishes will be really strong. If you go for fire, your exploding toads are going to be hitting for really hard, but then your physical on your fetish sycophants are not going to be affected by the fire increase of the elemental gear that you're stacking. Same thing goes for poison. If you go poison, then the addling toads are actually going to end up doing a lot more damage, but your fetishes don't benefit from it. I choose the poison route, and I also like to combine it with the tall man's finger. So basically, start off with, we got the typical Jerome, and we got the Corset Tasker and Theo, and give our pets increased damage and also attack speed increase. As long as you have these 2 items, the fetishes from the passive are always going to do pretty good.
Sometimes it feels like somebody's following me, and I got no privacy.
Sorry about that. That was one of my alerts that I had during the guide anyway. But I digress. Alright, so I disabled that. So Jerome, Tasker, and Theos. This will make the fetishes hit hard. It's going to make our zombie dog hit hard, and then also our gargantuan hit really hard. 3-piece Ogdal's Authority, because we got the zombie dog damage on there, zombie dog damage, and also with the poison damage, which is great. We have the old school witching hour. You can use a new school witching hour. The reason why I'm kind of straying away from what is it called? Harrington's waist guard, because in higher tier rifts there's nothing to click and there's no bodies to move, so you can't get the bonus of it. So that's why I've been using more witching hour. Fleeting stripe also works really well. Any belt with attack speed, anything along those lines is pretty much what you want to go for. The ring is Tall Man's Finger. I got this new one. It's pretty nice. Has average damage, critical percent chance, life percent, and int. In the future, I will be rolling the socket when the legendary gems come out, so I'm looking forward to that. And since we're not running Zunimas or anything like that, we can actually run the Stone of Jordan, which got some increased poison damage, has good int and life percent. Doesn't have the crit percent chance, but hopefully I can get one in the future that will. Swamp Ladders, which gives more poison damage because this is a poison-based build, and they'll help our toads out, also our zombie dog, and also and the piranhas. Okay, of course, Rhen'Ho Flayer has in attack speed socket. I'm pretty happy with that, so I just kept it that way. In the future, I will be rolling the socket for a more damage percent, and then using the new item that guarantees sockets to get a socket inside that weapon. But for now, if you get attack speed or damage increase, a socket and int, that's pretty much what you want to go for. The Hoffhands, the Ukapean Serpent. I was trying to get zombie dog damage, but for some reason I spent 100 million. I still haven't got it, but I did get Gargantuan down to 14%, so that will help our Garg out, which is okay. Has good int, good average damage. Pretty happy about that. Life regen, I don't really need, but okay, whatever. And then, of course, the Zunimasa shoes. I probably could switch these shoes out for something better. Actually, I think I will right now. Now, well, actually, what I could do is actually in Greater Rifts, what I do is I'll put on the Blackthorn's the shoes, and then what I do is I put on the Blackthorn's belt that knocks me up some good toughness and stuff for it. Since it's not that serious, we're still going to keep the Zunimas on, and we're just going to go ahead and use the Witching Hour. Gives us more DPS for now. Alright, cool. So those are the items that we went over the build. The Paragon points are as follows. As much as you can to int while still getting a little bit into movement speed. I think my shoes have 10%, so 10 plus the 15 is 25, so I hit my max movement. Cooldown reduction, don't need it. Let's go ahead and reset that. We're going to go ahead and put it on attack speed. The more attack speed we have, the faster we can cast the toads. The more the toads get out and hit their damage and hit their marks. They're going to see the targets and also generate fetishes. Critical hit chance and critical damage. Okay, next tab over. Armor, life resist, and life percent. And then, of course, cool cost, resource cost reduction, life on hit, and area damage. We'll hit accept there. Now for our skills, first skill is going to be Addling Toads. Releases a handful of yellow toads that deal 109% weapon damage as poison, and it comes in contact, has a 15% chance to confuse. This is like a godsend on top tier torments, let me tell you. When you lock down an elite or you lock down some trash mobs because of the Addling Toads, it's really strong. And while they're confused, they're not going to be hitting your pets, which means your pet's going to stay a lot alive. Currently right now, the problem is on PTR is that when you get into Greater Rifts and you get versus a Mallet Lord, Mallet Lords are kind of destructive and kind of like very frustrating. But anyways, I digress. We got Piranhas, a Wave of Mutilation. Now, if you like to switch around a little bit, you can actually run Wave of Mutilation. The reason why I don't run Piranhas or Paranatos is because I'm using the Tall Man's Finger, because Tall Man's Finger is really good to go in. The Poison Dogs are very strong, and I want to get as much damage as I can. The Fetish Sycophants is pretty much non-negotiable because I need the fetishes to generate the Rhen'Ho Flayer. Pierce the Veil is non-negotiable. Zombie Dog Handler, Midnight Feast. Otherwise, I'd put a Grave Injustice in there somewhere. However, with the future patch coming out, you're going to be able to have the Hellfire Amulet, which grants you an extra passive. So you could get like Pierce the Veil as the passive on the necklace, and then just simply trade out your Pierce the Veil for another passive. So in the future, we'll be able to get that 5th passive. Alright, so we got Weight of Mutilation, poison damage, knocks enemies back, good CC, makes them take more damage, right on point. Spirit Walk with Jaunt. Nothing more to say here. Stay in Spirit Walk form for 3 longer seconds. That makes sense. Keeps us out of trouble. Let's stay in Spirit Walk form a little bit longer so we can survive a little bit longer. Zombie Dog, Rabbit Dog. This dog is a beast versus single target. Let me tell you, it carries in Greater Rifts because the poison dot it puts on the enemy, it actually stacks. So it's really strong. So definitely want to use that guy. Wrathful Protector and Big Bad Voodoo with Slam Dance. That's going to be basically to execute elites when we have them. And of course, Pierce the Veil, Fetish Sycophants, because Sycophants for the Rhen'Ho Flayer, Pierce the Veil because we want to increase DPS, Zombie Dog Handler, and Midnight Feast. Now at lower level Torments or just at Torment 6 or nothing too serious, and basically you can run the Zombie Dog Handler. That's what you can really use. Not Zombie Dog Handler, I'm sorry, Fierce Loyalty, because that'll make sure your movement speed is a lot quicker and get you up to 55% movement speed when your pets are not in combat. And of course, we're going to run Midnight Feast, affects Gargantuan or a Zombie Dog. Okay, we're going to go ahead and leave out. We're going to go ahead and set it to Torment level 6 and show the build in person. Like so. Fantastic. And I'll turn in-game sounds for you guys so you guys are not sitting there bored. I've been enjoying the in-game sounds because I haven't listened to them that much, but usually time I'm streaming and I have my music on, so I forget how the game sounds are. Options, sound, enable sound. Ooh. Lower the master volume down a little bit. Hopefully it's not too loud. The stream will let me know if it is though too. So let's go ahead and let's do this T6 riff real quick. And we're not running with Unity right now because on live servers I don't have it, but actually on PTR I do because I found one. So if you have a Unity ring, you can actually sub the Unity ring out for the Saj and run the Unity follower ring combo, which is very strong. But, I mean, it's a pretty much straightforward build. And the best thing about this is just having the crowd control capabilities because the toads actively seek out everything and they crowd control everything. You got Wave of Mutilation and everything like that. And it's just a very laid-back, straightforward build. It's not as fast and flashy as the SNK build, but the nice thing about it is you're able to CC certain monsters and stuff and keep yourself alive just because half the times the elites are like they're crowd controlled, and when they're crowd controlled, they really can't do anything. And if they're CC'd, that means they're not killing your fetishes, which are easily killable. Now, currently on PTR right now, they have a gem that makes it so that your pets get 20% increased crit chance, and your pets never die, but you have to get it to level 50. Don't know how easy that's going to be, because Blizzard doesn't have the gem guy that's supposed to show up and upgrade your gems yet, but it might take a while. So starting off, you might want to start considering a Rhen'Ho Flayer build, because you can always keep generating fetishes. You have your zombie dog out, and then you also can crowd control the Mallet Lords, which are pretty much the Doombringer of, like, all, like, pet build runs, because they can kill pets very easily. They hit incredibly hard. And I do believe Blizzard made a change where pets HP doesn't scale up anymore, depending on what level you go. So that's just food for thought and what you got to think about if you're actually interested in going for the Rhen'Ho Flayer build when ladders come out. Now, if you wanted to run fire, that's fine, but then you don't get the CC effect of the Addling Toads. Like I said, the crowd control effect makes a big difference on higher level tournaments, but you can still get it done and do very well with fire. Things you want to definitely be looking for is you want to start crafting your Ogdos 3-piece set, your shoulders, your chest, your bracers, and whatever element for your bracers that you want to go. You need to get a Drum. Task and Theo is not necessary, but it's also very nice. And you definitely want to look into getting your Ukapanian Serpent to mitigate damage versus dogs. That's going to help out a lot later and make it so you could do higher level tournaments no problem. And I'm trying to think, what else is there? Oh, of course, you want to get the Unity follower combo if you plan on doing solo ladder. That's where you get 2 Unity rings, you wear one, your follower runs, and you use the follower relic that makes it so they never die. You get mitigation from that. That's going to help it as well. Now, if you don't have that, I will say this. There is a gem on the server that works kind of like Unity, not really. And what it actually does is this. If you take damage, it takes 50% of your damage. So let's just say 900k, right? Let's say you took 1.8 million damage. It takes 50% of your damage, which would be 900k, and then it deals it to you over 3 seconds, which means it will do, instead of 900k at one time, or that added 900k damage, it will do 300k for the next 3 seconds. And if you get it to max level 50, what it does is when you kill an enemy, you have a chance to, instead of it dealing damage to you over time, it actually will clear the effect off of you. So basically mitigating 50% damage if you actually get to the high level or if you get that certain gem. So once that gem hits level 50, it's going to be very strong because you take damage, and as long as you're killing enemies, you have a chance to mitigate 50% of your damage, and it'll get rid of all the damage that's supposed to be done to you. Ooh, Azunimasa, how nice. So that combined with the pet increased damage ones are pretty much top tier. I also like another gem there, and the reason I think Rhen'Ho Flayer is going to do well because they actually have a gem where every attack that you land, it has a certain % chance of giving you a stacking buff of 2% attack speed, which refreshes itself and stacks up to 10 stacks. So at some points you can have actually 20% increased attack speed. And with Rhen'Ho Flayer, when you're able to spam more toads, that means more CC, more damage, and also generating more fetishes. And that's a very strong one. I forgot what the level 50 for that gem is, but you know, that's also interesting and stuff like that about like how that's going to really help out the Rhen'Ho Flayer build. So as I was telling people, I think Rhen'Ho Flayer is going to be definitely a top contender along with Jade Set, because as long as you can figure out a way to deal with the certain monsters that just completely obliterate pets, you should be fine. I don't think you're going to see that many SMK builds to start off with, because like SMK, you need your fetishes to land damage and reset themselves, and if they're constantly dying or they get killed by a Mallet Lord, you're not going to reset and you're not going to be able to cast Big Bad Voodoo. So that's the current meta of it. I've been seeing like a lot of Jade Witch Doctors going very well. I've seen a lot of Rhen'Ho Flayer builds do well. I've seen some Tall Man's Finger builds do well, but I think they got lucky and they didn't get Mallet Lords. If you get a Mallet Lord, they will offset your whole run. And what have you not. So basically, if you're trying to get ready for PTR, I would just advise just get your Ogdos craft, your shoulder, your bracers, your chest. Get your double Unity Ring follower combo. Get a Rhen'Ho Flayer, Jerome, Task, and Theo. We have plenty of time. There's no reason people can't go out and get it. You just actually have to put in a little effort, and it shouldn't be a problem at all. Alright. Oh, and of course the Ukapian Serpent, because that's very important too, because the dog damage mitigations is nice, and the Swamp Ladders do help out, but you don't actually necessarily have to get those either. Now, some other things that people have been running is the Smite one. There's a Smite, if you don't like to run the one gem on the PTR that actually mitigates, how do you say, the damage that you take, 50% of it, and deals it to you over 3 seconds. There's another one that actually allows you a 10% chance, or I think 15% chance on attack to cast Smite, and Smite hits multiple enemies, and with the frogs and the increased attack speed, it gets quite silly. So that's something else that you might want to think of in case you don't want to run that, because if you're already running the double Unity follower with the Ukapian Serpent, you don't really need to necessarily run that jewel, but I would kind of run it because I like more mitigation. But if you didn't want to do that, running the Smite room with the toads not only will allow you to smite everything and do extra damage, it just really combos in well with that gem that it crashes as stacking attack speed. But just in general in the meta right now, it just seems like people get punished if they don't go Rhen'Ho Flayer. Rhen'Ho Flayer can keep generating fetishes. Certain monsters, ever since they took away that survivability, because before in PTR, I do believe when you're going up into greater rifts, they made it so that every level that you go up as a monster's HP scales up, so did your pets. But I think they took that away, so now your pets actually can die. So the thing that's nice about the Rhen'Ho Flayer, like I said again, I'm reiterating myself, is I'm just trying to stress this point across to you, is that the Edeling Toads, they CC the target, right? And as long as the target CC, that means he's not hitting your minions and your monsters, and then unless your monsters are dying, or even if your monsters die, as long as you're hitting with your Edeling Toads, you're going to keep generating fetishes, which is really good, until you can get your gem that has increased pet percent crit chance by 20% up to level 50. And you're saying, well, Debo, what do you mean getting the jewel craft on the PTR up to level 50? Well, there's a jewel on PTR. You guys might have heard about it. I don't know the name of it, but it gives your pets 20% critical percent chance, and I heard for every upgrade level you get 1%. At level 50, it gives you the second effect where your pets never die. Now, when your pets never die, well, then you don't have to actually worry about running Rhen'Ho Flayer build, and you can actually run SMK. But until then, you might actually have some problems. And that might be something that you definitely want to run. Oh, they also have another nice jewel that basically after you kill an elite for 20 seconds, you get, I think, increased 20% damage versus elites, or 20% damage buff, which is nice. And then if you get that to level 50, right, after you kill an elite, it gives you a permanent 30% increased damage to elites, which is also very nice. SMK is Star Metal Cookery. Somebody just asked that in the stream. What it does is every time your fetishes land 1 damage, or land any type of damage, it resets your cooldown of your fetish army and your big bad voodoo by 1. The problem is when you get to higher levels and those fetishes die, they can't reset your fetish army skill and they can't reset your big bad voodoo, so you kind of get shit out of luck. So we're almost done here, and like I said, this is just a typical Rhen'Ho Flayer build. This is leaning more towards the poison, using a poison dog. As you see, I'm not having any problems. Everything's dying real easy on T6. Rocking about 6.7 mil toughness, 1.43 million damage, so we're doing all right. And the Rift Guardian should be popping up soon. Hopefully we'll have our Raffle Protector up by then. There goes the Rift Guardian. Now we're going to go over here and burn him down. We got Raffle, we got everything up, and this should be a quick death. And since we also got a Furnace on our helper, she actually does a lot of damage to these guys. I would tell you to go out and get a Furnace. They're very good, just because, you know, even if Blizzard decides to nerf it, I still think it's going to be one of the best items for a Witch Doctor follower. So that was very easy, very straightforward. You can run it with fire, you can run it with poison, you can run it with physical. I say it's one of the best top tier greater rift farming like builds right now, because of the ability just to have the CC and not have to worry about dealing with your pets dying, because half the time the enemies are CC'd. And if you want to see my follower, eventually what you want to do is get them all with attack speed. And then get yourself a Furnace, which does damage based on of the target's HP. So if it triggered the effect on that, it would do 8% damage. So if the target had 100 million HP, that means the Enchantress is doing 8 million damage, which is pretty damn nice. And you also need to get the follower relics so that follower can never die. I got one Unity ring right now. Where is it at? There it is. And I need to get a second one. So in the future, you're going to need that for damage mitigation on the solo PTR. So as always, I thank you guys for checking out my guides and looking at my instructional videos. So hopefully you guys will go out there and try the Rhen'Ho Flayer build. I'm going to add the guide in the side of the description on the bottom on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. And I'll have everything in the description so you guys can go and look at the build where I list out all the gear that you can use for and the different options you can do. And as always, I appreciate you guys watching. I'm Debo, and now I'm out.